Many young athletes face seemingly insurmountable obstacles on their path to success, but few have overcome those challenges quite like Deandre Hopkins, and fewer have turned those struggles into strengths and become one of the most dominant forces in the NFL.
Watson, pass downfield, and what a catch! Oh, God.
But how good was Deandre Hopkins? Deandre's journey is nothing short of incredible. Growing up, he had to deal with the tragic loss of his father and watch his mother fight to survive a brutal attack that left her blind. But through it all, Deandre's mom was his rock, always pushing him to chase his dreams no matter what life threw their way. He tore it up in high school and college before the Texans drafted him in 2013. That's when the real magic started. Even with a revolving door of quarterbacks, Deandre put up mind-blowing numbers year after year. But it wasn't just about the stats for Deandre. He became a beacon of hope, proving that with hard work and determination, you can overcome anything. But before we dive into the inspiring story of Deandre Hopkins, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Let's face it, life can throw some serious curveballs. And for Deandre Hopkins, those challenges started early on. When he was just a baby, Deandre lost his dad in a tragic car accident. Growing up without a father figure is tough for any kid, but Deandre had an incredible support system in his mom, Sabrina Greenlee. But even the strongest support systems can be rocked by unimaginable events. In 2002, when Deandre was only 10 years old, his mom was the victim of a horrific acid attack. A woman she didn't even know threw a mixture of lye and bleach on her face, leaving her permanently blind. Most people would crumble under that kind of trauma, but not Sabrina. She refused to let it break her spirit. Instead, she used it as fuel to push Deandre to chase his dreams even harder. Deandre credits his mom for making him the man he is today.
What's up, mama? Let's see it. Sabrina, I love you.
Watching her resilience in the face of such adversity taught him that no obstacle is too big to overcome. It's a lesson he's carried with him throughout his entire football career. But it wasn't just his mom's strength that shaped him. It was also her unwavering belief in his potential. Even after losing her sight, Sabrina never missed one of Deandre's games. She was always there, cheering him on and visualizing his every move. Deandre Hopkins isn't just a football star, he's a living testament to the power of resilience, determination, and a mother's love. But when did his football journey begin? Let's go back to when it all started. Deandre Hopkins was a 4-star recruit coming out of high school, and at D.W. Daniel High School in South Carolina, Hopkins wasn't just good, he was a bona fide superstar. As a wide receiver, he racked up some seriously impressive stats. We're talking 57 receptions, 1,266 receiving yards, and a whopping 18 touchdowns. But here's the kicker. He was just as dominant on the other side of the ball. Playing cornerback, Hopkins snagged 28 interceptions and took 5 of them to the house for touchdowns. What's truly impressive about this? He holds the state record for 28 interceptions for a state that has produced elite NFL talent at the defensive back position, including Stephon Gilmore and Jonathan Jones. It didn't take long for college scouts to take notice of his two-way talent. Hopkins was ranked the 12th best receiver in the nation and the 8th overall prospect in the state by Rivals.com. With offers pouring in from top programs, he ultimately decided to stay close to home and suit up for the Clemson Tigers. At Clemson, Hopkins wasted no time proving he belonged on the big stage. He burst onto the scene as a true freshman, leading the team with 52 receptions and snagging a spot on the All-ACC freshman team. But that was just the beginning. Over the next 2 seasons, Hopkins cemented his status as one of the most dominant receivers in college football. As a sophomore, he hauled in 72 catches and 978 yards and 5 touchdowns. And in his junior campaign, he took his game to another level entirely. Hopkins put together a season for the ages in 2012, shattering school records left and right. He set new marks for receiving yards in a game, 197, receiving yards in a season, 1,405, and touchdowns in a season, 18. Oh, and he led Clemson to its first 11-win season since 1981. Not too shabby. By the time he declared for the NFL draft, Hopkins had firmly established himself as one of the most accomplished receivers in Clemson history. He finished his career with 206 receptions, 3,020 yards, and 27 touchdowns, numbers that still rank among the best in school history. He also scored a touchdown in 10 consecutive games, doubling the previous school record. Given his high school heroics and collegiate dominance, it's no surprise that Hopkins entered the draft as one of the most coveted prospects at his position. And while his NFL journey would bring its fair share of challenges, the stage was set for this small-town kid to become one of the league's biggest stars. When the Texans snagged him with the 27th pick in the 2013 draft, they had no idea they were getting a receiver who would redefine the position. From day one, Hopkins made it clear that he was a force to be reckoned with. But here's what makes his story so incredible. He did it all while catching passes from a revolving door of mediocre quarterbacks. In his first season, Hopkins was working with the likes of Matt Schaub and Case Keenum. Not exactly Hall of Fame material, right? But that didn't stop him from racking up 802 yards, second to only Keenan Allen among rookie wide receivers, and 2 touchdowns in his rookie campaign. Fast forward a few years, and Hopkins is still putting up monster numbers despite playing with guys like Ryan Mallett, Brian Hoyer, and Brock Osweiler. In fact, some of his most impressive performances came when he was working with backups and journeymen. Take his 2015 season, for example. The Texans' QB situation was a total mess, with Hoyer, Mallett, TJ Yates, and Brandon Whedon all taking snaps at various points. But amidst all the chaos, Hopkins still managed to lead the league with 192 targets, hauling in 111 catches for 1,521 yards and 11 touchdowns. Those are video game numbers, folks. And he did it with 4 different quarterbacks throwing him the ball. Time and time again, Hopkins proved that he was the ultimate safety blanket for his team. No matter who was under center, they knew they could just lob it up in his direction and he'd come down with it more often than not. In fact, between 2015 to 2019, he ranked 4th most in contested catches with 56, only behind Julio Jones, Mike Evans, and Michael Thomas, who were all elite in their own right. To top it all off, Hopkins' superhuman abilities weren't just limited to the regular season. Given the opportunity, there was simply no stopping the man they call Nuke. He was a walking highlight reel, making acrobatic catches look routine and leaving defenders grasping at air. While some may point to Hopkins' lack of elite QB play as a knock on his career, I see it as a testament to his unparalleled talent and drive. He didn't need a Tom Brady or an Aaron Rodgers to become one of the most dominant receivers in the game. All he needed was a chance to showcase his skills. And boy, did he ever make the most of those chances. The man was putting up Hall of Fame caliber numbers year after year, regardless of who was throwing him the rock. But the question remains, just how historic were some of those performances? Well, we're about to dive into the record books and uncover the true scope of Hopkins' greatness. It all started in his very first season when he broke the Texans' rookie record with 52 catches. From there, it was like he was on a mission to rewrite history. In 2015, he led the league with 192 targets and 111 receptions. But he was just getting warmed up. In 2017, Hopkins became the youngest player in NFL history to reach 500 career receptions and 7,000 receiving yards. Let that sink in for a second. This guy was putting up numbers that some receivers only dream of, and he was doing it at an age when most guys were still trying to find their footing in the league. Not to mention, without ever having an elite quarterback passing him the ball. And here's the crazy part. He was only getting better with age. In 2018, Hopkins set a career high with 115 catches and led the league with 13 receiving touchdowns. To top it all off, Hopkins' consistency was simply unmatched. From 2014 to 2019, he recorded at least 75 catches, 1,000 yards, and 5 touchdowns in each season. That's 6 straight years of elite production, folks. In an era where receivers seemed to come and go, Hopkins was a rock-solid constant. Of course, we can't talk about Hopkins' career without mentioning his ridiculous highlight reel. Time and time again, he made catches that defied belief. The one-handed grabs, the toe taps along the sideline, the leaping snags over multiple defenders. It was like watching a master artist at work. Given the opportunity, Hopkins always found a way to shine on the biggest stages. Just look at his postseason numbers. 47 catches for 623 yards and 4 touchdowns in just 7 games. When the lights were brightest, Hopkins was at his best. So while the stats are undoubtedly impressive, it's the way Hopkins accumulated them that truly sets him apart. He did it with style, with grace, and with a flair for the dramatic that few could match. In a league full of diva receivers, Hopkins let the play do the talking.
We about to tell these boys to God now.
Overall, in his NFL career, Hopkins was voted to the NFL All-Pro team 5 times. 3 first-team nods and 2 second-team nods, 5 Pro Bowls, including 4 straight, and was voted onto the PFWA All-Rookie Team in 2013, not to mention $111.5 million in career earnings. Some feel he was snubbed for the 2010 All-Decade Team in favor of Larry Fitzgerald, who only received 1 All-Pro vote for 2010 to 2019 compared to Hopkins' 5, but that's here nor there. When you look at the numbers Hopkins put up despite the less-than-stellar quarterback play he dealt with for much of his career, it's hard not to be impressed and wonder what he could have become if he had even an ounce of elite QB play in his prime. But his legacy goes way beyond the stats. Through his unbreakable spirit and relentless work ethic, Hopkins showed us what it means to never give up on your dreams, no matter how many obstacles stand in your way. Think back to what we learned about his childhood, the loss of his father, his mother's unthinkable tragedy.
I come out the coma, but I come out the coma totally blind.
A lot of people would have let those hardships define them, but not Hopkins. He used them as fuel to become one of the greatest receivers of his generation. And it didn't stop there. Off the field, Hopkins made it his mission to give back to the community and help those facing similar struggles. Whether it's through his work with the Smooth Foundation or his partnership with Beyond Meat to bring healthy food options to underserved areas, this guy is always looking for ways to make a difference. So as we wrap up this video, I want you to remember one thing. Deandre Hopkins' story isn't just about football and his on-field performance. He's a superstar on and off the field.